First of all, just to be clear that if parents were divorced, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get divorced. I mean, really, it's about really healthy parenting. But not only that, it's about your psychological state.
So how can someone overcome watching their parents divorce? It's such a painful thing. Are kids of divorce really doomed?
The baby boomers were the leaders in divorce, and now the millennial children are grown up at the age of getting married, and a lot of them are fearful of repeating the same dysfunctional dynamics that they witnessed as children in their household. A lot of them didn't have healthy role models of relationships where there was compromise, affection, conflict management, and they worry that they're going to repeat these behaviors. And so a lot of them are now living together and cohabitating without the legality of marriage, because I think they're really questioning more seriously, is this a person for me for the long run? And they also are able to have a healthy, successful relationship, but I think it might take a little bit of work. So if they came from a house that didn't have healthy, positive role models, because we learned through social modeling, it's important for them to seek out this help. So what that means is, we get financial advisors because we are not experts at managing our money. We seek personal trainers and nutritionists because we are not experts at managing our bodies. So I think it's okay to not be an expert on managing your own love life. So seeking support from a counselor, a coach, a therapist, and really learning the skills that they were missing from the social modeling piece growing up.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think that's actually very good news, because there's something that I call slow love. And what we're seeing is this very long pre-commitment stage now. Marriage used to be the beginning of a relationship, now it's the finale. And with this very long pre-commitment stage, or what I call commitment light, you really get to know the person that you're, and so bad relationships can end before you tie the knot. And so I thought to myself, well, if that's the case, with all of the hooking up and friends with benefits and then living together, you get to know somebody long before you marry them. And so bad relationships can end. And so I did a study thinking to myself, well, if bad relationships can end before you marry, maybe we're going to see more happy marriages. So I did a study of 1,100 married people, and I asked a lot of questions, but one of them was, would you remarry the person you're currently married to? And 81% said yes. So the boomers, it looks as if they've damaged the millennials, but in some ways the millennials have done something very creative with all this. We think that it's recklessness, all this sleeping around and not getting married, but actually it's caution.
There's a very important study about commitment and cohabitation that was done by a lot of researchers that were doing marriage work. And what they found is that if a couple lived together with a commitment that they thought would happen, that they would have a long-term commitment toward marriage or just a long-term commitment, they had a very slight chance of breaking up, and their marriages seemed to be at no greater risk than somebody who really had a longer courtship. The couples who lived together, cohabiting without a commitment, tended by the end of 3 years to be in big trouble, and often there was a pregnancy or a child that had just been born, and then they break up. So the whole idea of being committed and knowing that this is maybe the one for you or is the one for you is so important. I think the other important thing is for young people is that they really have to look at how traumatic was the parents' marriage. Was there abuse? Was there violence? Were there addictions going on? Because if that's the case, they really do need to get help, because it's easy when you fall in love to just let that behind you. But that trauma and those tragedies that they experience, that's really important. Otherwise, I think some of the things you just said and the importance of commitment, communication.
Yeah, I want to just build upon what you said, Rita. It's, first of all, just to be clear that if parents were divorced, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get divorced. Really, it's about really healthy parenting. But not only that, it's about your psychological state, where you are. How can you really grow? It's a lifelong process. So if you creating your own inventory, understand your own issues, yes, you challenge yourself, always grow and try to see, what is intimacy for me? What do I need to do? And many people really just don't want to do, they want to do even the opposite of what happens in their home. So,
right.
If they saw the fight, say, no, I'm not gonna fight. I took it to heart and I'm gonna work on that. So all these things are really kind of like important, and this starts within yourself and your experience. You date, you go out, you live with someone, and you see that as kind of a laboratory, a benchmark for you to grow and be a better person, a better partner, and ultimately you're gonna be happier.
So if you are a child of divorce and your parents didn't make it, it doesn't mean that you're doomed to get a divorce. Pay attention to your relationships, learn the skills that you need, ask for help from these fine people or other people in your community, and you can create a successful, happy marriage.